Welcome back to my YouTube channel, where we explore the fascinating world of coins from across history and around the globe. And today we are diving into the rich and complex story behind one of the most iconic and sought-after American coins ever minted, the 1909 wheat penny, also known as the Lincoln wheat cent. And more specifically, we will focus on the inaugural year of this coin, which is filled with historical intrigue, political significance, artistic innovation, and numismatic value that continues to captivate collectors and historians alike. The story of the 1909 wheat penny begins in the early 20th century, at a time when the United States was experiencing rapid industrial growth, urban expansion, and significant social change under the leadership of President Theodore Roosevelt, a leader known not only for his domestic and foreign policies, but also for his deep interest in the aesthetics of American coinage. Roosevelt believed that the coins of the United States should reflect the artistic and cultural dignity of a great nation, and he sought to reform what he saw as bland and uninspired designs on the nation's circulating currency. To carry out this mission, Roosevelt reached out to renowned American sculptor Augustus St. Gaudens, who had already established himself as a master of classical and Renaissance-inspired sculpture. St. Gaudens began work on new designs for several coins, most notably the $20 double eagle and the $10 eagle, both of which are today considered masterpieces of numismatic art. However, St. Gaudens passed away in 1907 before he could complete his vision for the entire spectrum of American coinage, and that left an opportunity for another artist to step into the spotlight. Enter Victor David Brenner, a Lithuanian-born sculptor and medalist who had immigrated to the United States in the late 19th century. Brenner had gained Roosevelt's admiration after designing a medallion of the president, and in 1909 he was commissioned to create a new design for the 1-cent coin, a denomination that had featured the Indian head cent since 1859. Roosevelt wanted to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and he believed that a coin bearing Lincoln's likeness would be a fitting tribute to the legacy of the 16th president. Brenner's design for the obverse of the new cent featured a right-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln inspired by a photograph taken by Matthew Brady and a plaque Brenner had sculpted years earlier that had already gained wide acclaim. The image captured Lincoln's thoughtful expression and conveyed a sense of dignity and solemnity that resonated with the American public. The reverse of the coin featured two stylized stalks of Durham wheat encircling the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the Latin phrase e pluribus unum. Arching above the wheat reverse was simple, elegant, and symbolic of American agriculture and abundance. Released to the public on August 2nd of that year, it marked the first time a real historical figure appeared on a regular issue U.S. coin, and it was also the first time Lincoln was honored in such a way. The response from the public was immediate and enthusiastic. People lined up at banks and treasury offices to obtain the new cents, and they were quickly hoarded by collectors and everyday citizens alike. The novelty of the design, coupled with the nation's enduring reverence for Lincoln, made the coin an instant sensation. However, the coin also generated controversy in part due to Victor David Brenner's initials, which appeared prominently on the reverse at the bottom center between the wheat stalks. The initials VDB were deemed by some officials and members of the public to be too conspicuous and an inappropriate form of self-promotion for a government-issued coin. This controversy led to the abrupt removal of the initials from the design after only a short run, resulting in two major types of 1909 wheat pennies, the 1909 VDB and the 1909 without VDB. Adding further complexity to the story is the fact that the coin was struck at two mints, the Philadelphia Mint and the San Francisco Mint. The coins struck in Philadelphia bear no mint mark, while those from San Francisco bear a small S below the date on the obverse. Combined with the presence or absence of the VDB initials, this results in 4 distinct varieties for collectors to pursue: the 1909 no VDB, the 1909 VDB, the 1909 S-No VDB, and the legendary 1909 SVDB, which is widely regarded as one of the most important and valuable key dates in the entire Lincoln Cent series. The 1909 SVDB is notable, not just for its scarcity with an original mintage of just 484,000 coins, but also for the fervor it has inspired among generations of coin collectors. It represents the perfect storm of historical significance, artistic controversy, low mintage, and collector demand, making it one of the cornerstones of American numismatics. The coin remains highly sought after in all grades and commands, significant premiums especially in uncirculated condition. Beyond its market value, the 1909 wheat penny stands as a testament to a pivotal moment in American history when art, politics, memory, and monetary design intersected in a meaningful way. It marked the beginning of a new era in U.S. coinage, where historical figures replaced allegorical imagery and where coins became more than just instruments of commerce. They became tools of cultural identity and national heritage. In the decades that followed, the Lincoln wheat cent continued to evolve, with minor design modifications, shifts in composition due to wartime needs, and the eventual replacement of the wheat reverse in 1959 by the Lincoln Memorial design to commemorate the sesquicentennial of Lincoln's birth. But no matter how the coin changed over the years, the 1909 issues remained singular in their importance and continue to be a foundational piece in both historical study and collecting passion. Each of the four 1909 varieties analyzing their design elements, minting processes, die markers, and known errors. We will also explore the socio-political environment of the early 20th century to understand why Lincoln was chosen as the first historical figure to appear on a U.S. coin and how his image and legacy were carefully crafted by the designers and engravers involved. We will look at Victor David Brenner's life work and motivations and discuss how his immigrant background shaped his artistic vision and commitment to excellence. We will also examine the market trends and auction histories of the 1909 wheat pennies, comparing price fluctuations over time and offering insights into how collectors can identify genuine specimens, spot counterfeits, and determine proper grading standards for authentication and valuation. Whether you are a seasoned collector looking to expand your knowledge or a curious beginner hoping to learn the roots of American coin, collecting this journey into the 1909 wheat penny will provide you with a rich, immersive experience. So get comfortable, get ready, and join me on this 2-hour exploration of one of the most important and fascinating coins in American history as we uncover of the most important and fascinating coins in American history as we uncover the full story behind the 1909 wheat penny, from artistic inspiration to minting legacy, from political symbolism to collector obsession and everything in between. 20th century, when the Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 under the direction of President Theodore Roosevelt, who sought to beautify American coinage and add historical relevance to everyday currency, the Lincoln penny was the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real person and not just a symbolic figure. With Abraham Lincoln chosen to commemorate his 100th birthday and to reflect the strength, unity, and leadership he brought to the nation during its most divided era, the designer Victor David Brenner was a skilled sculptor and engraver who based his portrait of Lincoln on a photograph taken by Matthew Brady, one of the most famous Civil War photographers. The original design included Brenner's full initials VDB on the reverse of the 1909 coin, but due to public controversy, it was removed shortly after and replaced with a more modest placement on later issues. From the very beginning, the Lincoln penny was more than just currency. It was a political and cultural statement, and over the decades it underwent several changes both in composition and design, particularly during wartime periods when copper was diverted for military use, the most famous example being the 1943 steel penny minted during World War II. Fast forward to the mid-1960s, a time of transformation, turmoil, and technology in the United States. The country was experiencing the civil rights movement, the space race, and the escalation of the Vietnam War. These societal pressures were reflected in every aspect of American life, including its coinage. During this time, the U.S. Mint was under immense pressure to produce enough coins for a growing economy, while also dealing with rising costs in metals and inflation. The Coinage Act of 1965 had just passed, eliminating silver from dimes and quarters and introducing new clad compositions. The penny, however, remained copper, but with subtle changes to its composition and production methods. The year 1967 is crucial because it falls in the heart of this transitional period, and coins from this year carry not just historical but also potential collectible value. Now let us explore the physical characteristics of the 1967 Lincoln penny. It was minted at a time when the U.S. Mint had temporarily removed mint marks to prevent coin hoarding by collectors. As a result, all 1967 pennies were minted without any mint marks, even though production occurred at multiple facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coin weighs 3.11 grams, is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, and features the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln, facing right on the obverse above his head. The inscription, "In God We Trust," appears to the left, is the word liberty, and to the right is the date, 1967. The reverse features the iconic Lincoln Memorial, which was added in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Replacing the original wheat ears that had graced the coin for 50 years above the memorial are the words United States of America and the phrase E pluribus unum and below. The memorial is the denomination 1 cent. The memorial reverse was designed by Frank Gasparo and offers a small but notable depiction of the seated Lincoln statue between the columns of the memorial, which is a detail that many overlook in casual examination of the coin. The 1967 penny is generally considered a common coin in circulated condition, but like many coins, its value increases significantly depending on its condition and whether any errors or varieties are present. Now let us delve into the production process and minting anomalies of the 1967 Lincoln cent. During the 1960s, coin production was heavily mechanized but still subject to quality control issues and die wear that could result in interesting errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and die clashes, among others. Collectors prize these errors for double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and die clashes, among others. Collectors prize these errors for their uniqueness and rarity, and some 1967 pennies with such anomalies have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the severity and clarity of the error. In particular, the double die obverse is one of the most sought-after varieties in the Lincoln cent series, and while no major double die variety is officially recognized for 1967, minor doubling and machine doubling can still be found and are of interest to collectors with a keen eye. Another point of interest is the preservation and grading of Lincoln pennies. From this year, coins that remain in uncirculated condition, especially those graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can fetch premium prices due to their sharp strike, luster, and minimal handling marks. Collectors and investors alike look for full red specimens which have retained their original coppery sheen as opposed to brown or red-brown examples which indicate varying degrees of oxidation over time. It is also worth noting the coin market is dynamic and the value of coins can rise or fall depending on demand, economic conditions, and the popularity of certain coin types or errors in the media and auction results in recent years. Online marketplaces and auction platforms have made it easier than ever to access coin sales data and track the going rates for high-grade 1967 pennies, as well as those with dramatic errors or proof-like qualities. Speaking of proof coins, it is important to clarify that 1967 saw the continuation of special mint sets instead of traditional proof sets due to a moratorium on proof coin production from 1965 to 1967 to deter hoarding. The U.S. Mint issued these special mint sets which offered higher quality strikes than regular business strikes, but not quite the mirror-like finishes of proofs. These SMS coins were struck using polished dies and show sharper details and better finishes than circulation coins. And while they are more abundant than traditional proofs, they are still valued for their uniqueness during this transitional period. The packaging of these sets also reflects the era, with simple government-issued plastic holders and cardboard inserts with minimal design in terms of historical context. The 1967 penny is emblematic of a nation undergoing rapid change and modernization. It serves as a numismatic window into the era's challenges and innovations, and even in its simplicity tells a story of adaptability, resilience, and the enduring legacy of Lincoln's image in American culture. Whether you are a new collector, a seasoned numismatist, or simply someone curious about the coins in your pocket, the 1967 Lincoln penny offers a fascinating case study in both monetary history and collectible value. As we continue this video, we will now look in more depth at population reports, auction results, and diagnostic tips for spotting high-value examples. We will also walk through some hands-on coin comparisons and demonstrate how to use a magnifier or USB microscope to detect subtle varieties and evaluate condition. Stay tuned as we continue uncovering the legacy of the 1967 Lincoln cent in this comprehensive deep dive into American coinage. From the year 1990, this episode is a deep dive meant for collectors, enthusiasts, historians, and anyone curious about how a small silver coin can reflect the changing face of a nation. So sit back, get comfortable, and join me as we uncover the full story of the 1990 5-pence coin. The 5-pence coin is a denomination of currency used in the United Kingdom, and it is an essential part of the decimal system that was introduced in the early 1970s. The story of the 5-pence coin begins in 1968, 2 years before decimalization, when it was first introduced as a replacement for the shilling, which was worth 1/20th of a pound, and the idea was to ease the transition to the new decimalized monetary system, which officially launched on February 15, 1971, the pre-decimal shilling shared the same size and value as the early 5-pence coin, making the switch relatively smooth for the general public. When we reach the year 1990, we find ourselves at an important turning point in the evolution of the coin. Up until that year, the 5-pence coin retained the same size as the old shilling, with a diameter of 23.59 millimeters and a weight of 5.65 grams, and made of cupro nickel, a blend of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The obverse of the coin featured the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Raphael Maklouf, introduced in 1985, which replaced the earlier portrait by Arnold Machine. This effigy by Maklouf is more mature and detailed, reflecting the passage of time and the continuing reign of the monarch. On the reverse side of the 5-pence coin from 1990, we find the iconic Badge of Scotland design featuring a crowned Scottish thistle. This design was created by Christopher Ironside and had been used on the reverse of the 5-pence coin since its inception in 1968. The thistle represents Scotland as one of the 4 nations of the United Kingdom, and the use of the crown emphasizes the sovereignty and unity under the British monarchy. The inclusion of this motif demonstrates the balance of national pride and royal symbolism that is typical of British coin design. By the late 1980s, there was a growing consensus that the 5-pence coin was too large and heavy for its relatively low face value. The economic context was shifting, and inflation meant that the purchasing power of the coin had declined significantly, and the Royal Mint undertook a major review of circulating coinage, leading to a redesign of several coins in the early 1990s. As a result, the year 1990 marks the final year that the larger 5-pence coin was minted for general circulation. After 1990, the Royal Mint introduced a smaller version of the 5-pence coin starting in 1990, with circulation beginning in 1991. The new coin had a diameter of only 18 millimeters and weighed 3.25 grams, still composed of cupro nickel. It retained the same obverse and reverse designs, but its reduced size made it more economical to produce and easier to carry. This move was part of a broader effort to modernize the currency and to respond to changes in economic behavior, including the increasing use of digital payment methods and the reduced need for low-denomination coins in everyday transactions. The 1995 pence coin therefore holds a special place in numismatic history because it represents the final chapter in the life of the original large 5-pence coin. It is a transitional artifact marking the end of one era and the beginning of another for collectors. The 1990 coin is particularly interesting because it sits at the intersection of tradition and change. It is the last of its kind and carries the full weight of over 2 decades of British monetary evolution. Delving deeper into the minting statistics, the Royal Mint produced over 570 million large 5-pence coins between 1968 and 1990, and in 1990 alone, over 120 million 5-pence coins were struck for circulation. Despite the high mintage, the historical significance of the 1990 issue increases its appeal to collectors, especially those interested in complete date runs, or those focusing on the evolution of coin design and policy. Another important layer to consider when discussing the 5-pence coin is its cultural significance. Coins are more than just tools for trade. They are miniature ambassadors of national identity and historical memory. Every design choice, from the portrait of the Queen to the inclusion of a thistle, is a reflection of political and cultural narratives. When Queen Elizabeth II ascended the throne in 1952, the United Kingdom still had an empire that spanned the globe, but by 1990 the world had changed dramatically, and coins like the 5-pence became touchstones of continuity in an age of transformation. Moreover, the process of designing and approving new coins is itself a story of collaboration between artists, historians, policymakers, and the public. The selection of designs goes through multiple stages of review, and every element is carefully scrutinized to ensure that it reflects the dignity and heritage of the nation. The 5-pence coin from 1990 is no exception, and its enduring design is a testament to the work of Christopher Ironside and the Royal Mint. As we move further into the numismatic aspects, we can analyze die varieties errors and minting quirks that may exist in the 1990 issue, while no major errors are widely reported in this year. Examples of off-center strikes, double strikes, or planche flaws may still be found by eagle-eyed collectors, and these anomalies can significantly enhance the value of a particular coin, especially if certified by a reputable grading service. Additionally, the collector market for 5-pence coins is strong, particularly among British and Commonwealth collectors, who often seek complete date runs or examples of every major design and size change. The 1995 pence coin is also popular among educators and historians who use it to illustrate the broader story of decimalization, economic modernization, and the cultural role of coinage. In terms of legal status, the 1995 pence coin remains legal tender in the United Kingdom, although its large size makes it less likely to be encountered in everyday use. Coins of this vintage are often withdrawn from circulation or held in private collections, but they still serve as a reminder of the monetary system that millions of people grew up with and used daily for decades. To close our deep dive into the story of the 1995 pence coin, we can appreciate it not just as a piece of metal, but as a compact historical document. It tells the story of Britain's changing economy, monarchy, culture, and identity. It bridges the old and the new and invites us to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. Actual historical figure, Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, whose leadership during the American Civil War left an enduring legacy of unity and emancipation. Commissioned in honor of Lincoln's 100th birthday, the design of the obverse or front side of the coin was created by Victor David Brenner, a renowned sculptor whose initials VDB would become a key element in early versions of the coin and whose design would remain mostly unchanged for over a century. By the year 1978, the Lincoln penny had already seen nearly 7 decades of production and numerous changes in minting techniques, compositional materials, and political and economic environments. The 1978 Lincoln penny holds a particularly interesting place in this lineage, as it represents one of the final years before the major compositional shift that would occur in 1982, when the United States Mint transitioned from a primarily copper-based alloy to a zinc-based core due to rising metal prices and budgetary considerations. In 1978, the Lincoln cent was composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, a composition that had been standard since 1962, when tin was removed from the original bronze alloy that had been in use since the late 1800s. The weight of the 1978 penny was approximately 3.11 grams, and it had a diameter of 19.05 millimeters with a plain edge and a solid copper color that distinguished it visually from later zinc-based cents, which would eventually exhibit a slightly different tone and wear pattern over time. 3 major mints were responsible for the production of the 1978 Lincoln penny. These were the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint, each producing coins with subtle differences and characteristics that have since drawn the attention of collectors and numismatists across the country. The Philadelphia Mint produced the majority of 1978 pennies with no mint mark appearing beneath the date on the obverse. The Denver Mint coins feature the D Mint mark, while the San Francisco Mint produced a limited number of proof coins bearing the S Mint mark, which were made specifically for collectors and never intended for circulation. These proof coins are notable for their sharp strikes, mirror-like fields, and frosted design elements, and are often found in mint sets or individual cases. To fully appreciate the 1978 Lincoln penny, it is essential to understand the broader historical context of the late 1970s in America. This was a time of significant economic and political transition marked by inflation, energy crises, and shifting attitudes toward government and policy. The coinage of the period reflects these trends in subtle yet meaningful ways. For example, as the price of copper continued to rise throughout the decade, discussions at the United States Mint began to intensify regarding potential changes to the cent's composition, leading to experimental minting and eventual conversion to a zinc core in just 4 years' time. In terms of design, the 1978 penny retains the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln, facing right based on Brenner's original engraving with the words, "In God We Trust," inscribed above liberty, to the left and the date, 1978 to the right below Lincoln's shoulder. If the coin has a mint mark, it is located just below the date on the reverse. We see the Lincoln Memorial, which had been introduced in 1959 to replace the original wheat ears design in honor of the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This reverse design, created by Frank Gasparo, depicts the famous Washington, D.C. monument with a tiny yet visible seated statue of Lincoln visible between the columns, a subtle detail that symbolically links both sides of the coin through a unified tribute to the nation's enduring respect for its Civil War president. During 1978, the United States Mint struck over 8 billion Lincoln cents across all facilities, with the Philadelphia Mint producing more than 5.5 billion, the Denver Mint minting over 4.2 billion, and the San Francisco Mint creating roughly 3.4 million proof coins. The sheer volume of production makes most 1978 Lincoln pennies relatively common in circulated condition, but there exist certain varieties, errors, and high-grade examples that command significant interest and value in today's coin market. Some of the most sought-after varieties of the 1978 Lincoln penny include double die obverses, where elements of the design, such as the date lettering or Lincoln's profile, appear duplicated due to a misalignment during the die creation process. These double die varieties can range in value from modest premiums to hundreds of dollars, depending on clarity, rarity, and demand. In addition to doubled dies, other collectible errors from this year include off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and coins struck on foreign or transitional planchets. Each of these errors offers a glimpse into the complexities of mass minting and the mechanical imperfections that can transform an ordinary penny into a prized rarity. Grading is also a key factor in determining a 1978 Lincoln penny's value. The Sheldon scale, which ranges from poor 1 to mint state 70, is used by professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC to evaluate the condition of coins. Those preserved in mint state condition, especially in MS 67 or higher, can be worth significantly more than their face value, particularly if they are free from marks, toning, and wear. Collectors often seek out full red specimens which retain their original copper color without oxidation or discoloration caused by handling or exposure over time. Coins graded as RD for red are generally more desirable than their RB or BN red, brown, and brown counterparts and can command premiums even among otherwise common dates. To fully understand the 1978 Lincoln penny is to delve into the history of American coinage, design, metallurgy, economics, and even politics. It reflects not only the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, but also the technological and artistic capabilities of the United States Mint during the late 20th century. As we continue to explore this coin throughout the rest of this video, we will break down key production numbers, analyze mint-specific differences, examine examples of valuable error coins, review tips for collectors, and share market trends and auction results to help you determine what your 1978 Lincoln penny might be worth today. So stay with me as we uncover the full story behind this iconic coin from every angle. And remember, whether you are a casual collector, a passionate numismatist, or just curious about the coins in your pocket, every piece of change has a story, and I'm here to help you discover it. An especially interesting category of error is strikes on foreign planchets or incorrect blanks. Sometimes foreign coin blanks intended for use in other countries or other U.S. denominations accidentally end up in the press and are struck with the Lincoln cent design. This produces extremely rare and collectible errors that can weigh differently, sound differently, or look completely unusual due to incorrect metal content. Beyond errors, another area of importance is the grading of the 1978 penny. The condition of a coin is one of the strongest determining factors in its value. Circulated coins usually grade from VF, very fine, to EF, extremely fine, and tend to hold minimal value unless they contain errors or are part of a larger collector's series. Uncirculated coins, especially those in mint state 65 or higher, with full red luster and no signs of wear, command higher prices, particularly if slabbed or certified by a reputable grading service. The Red Book, formerly known as a Guidebook of United States Coins, lists pricing for the 1978 Lincoln penny in various grades and provides insights into annual mintage figures, while auction records from heritage auctions or great collections show realized prices of high-grade or error specimens, helping collectors understand market trends and potential appreciation. Collectors of 1978 Lincoln pennies fall into different categories. There are type collectors who seek one example of every major type of U.S. coin, including cents, and prefer high-grade examples. Then there are date and mint mark collectors who seek a complete series of Lincoln cents from 1909 to present, often assembling albums and pursuing elusive high-grade or rare varieties. Error collectors focus on off-center strikes, double dies, and more. While some collect by year and variety, others collect by condition, color, or even by unique provenance or backstory. In recent years, interest in copper cents has surged due to both nostalgic and investment motivations. The 1978 penny especially appeals to collectors because it represents one of the final pre-zinc issues and because it is still commonly found in circulation with patience. This makes it one of the most accessible vintage coins for new collectors to pursue while still offering discovery potential. The cultural value of the Lincoln cent is also not to be underestimated. The coin has featured in countless educational kits, school lessons, wartime drives, and childhood piggy banks. It is perhaps the most handled coin in U.S. history, and yet even in its familiarity, it holds secrets and stories in the form of mint errors, rare varieties and pristine survivors tucked away in rolls boxes and old dresser drawers across the country. By understanding the full context of the 1978 Lincoln penny, including its design, production, historical backdrop era, rare varieties and pristine survivors tucked away in rolls boxes and old dresser drawers across the country. By understanding the full context of the 1978 Lincoln penny, including its design, production, historical backdrop era varieties, grading standards, and collector appeal, we gain not only a clearer picture of a single year of coinage, but also a deeper appreciation for the rich tradition of American numismatics as a whole. Stay tuned as we move further into this in-depth examination, where we will take you through visual examples, side-by-side mint comparisons, strike analysis, collector interviews, and market projections that will help you determine the true value and collectability of the 1978 Lincoln penny in your hands or in your collection. David Brenner engraved his initials VDB at the bottom of the reverse side, leading to public controversy, and the A initials being removed shortly after the coin's release, but reappearing later in a more subtle form. In 1918, the original reverse design featured two wheat ears, giving the coin the popular nickname Wheat Penny, and it remained in place until 1958. In 1959, the reverse was changed to the Lincoln Memorial in honor of Lincoln's 150th birthday, and this version of the penny was used until the year 2008, spanning 5 decades, during which countless varieties, mint errors, and key dates emerged, capturing the interest of collectors all over the country and beyond. Now, when we speak about the Lincoln penny, we must also talk about its composition, which underwent a significant change in 1982 when the United States Mint switched from a primarily copper composition to a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper due to rising metal costs. This change created two distinct types of 1982 Lincoln cents copper and zinc, which weighed differently and are often the subject of detailed examination by collectors the following year. 1983 was crucial and controversial because it marked the first full year of zinc-only Lincoln pennies. Officially, there were no copper coins minted in 1983, but discoveries and rumors of 1983 copper cents have led to widespread speculation, testing, and grading, resulting in a treasure hunt among numismatists for rare transitional errors which could be worth thousands if authenticated. Now moving deeper into 1983, we must consider the broader context of U.S. coinage and how it was influenced by economic pressures, policy changes, and public demand. By this time, coin collecting had grown into a mainstream hobby, fueled by information from coin guides, newsletters, and enthusiast clubs, as collectors scrutinized coins from pocket change rolls and bank boxes. They began noticing anomalies such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, and planchet errors among the 1983 Lincoln pennies. Most notably, the 1983 doubled die reverse, also known as the DDR, stands out for its sharply doubled lettering on the back of the coin, especially visible in the words 1 cent and United States of America, this particular variety has become one of the most sought-after and valuable errors in modern U.S. coinage, and it highlights the complex manufacturing process involved in minting billions of coins each year. Many people wonder how such errors occur, and the answer lies in the die creation and hubbing process, where a misalignment or additional strike can cause a design to appear doubled on the final coin, making each discovery of a double die penny a thrilling moment for collectors aside from the DDR. Another significant feature of 1983 pennies is the potential presence of coins struck on the wrong metal planchet, with rumors of copper planchets from 1982 being mistakenly used in early 1983. Minting this possibility has driven some collectors to weigh their 1983 pennies, meticulously looking for those that tip the scale closer to 3.11 grams rather than the expected 2.5 grams of the zinc versions and sending them for professional grading. If found now in this 2-hour exploration, we are not just tracing the technical details, but also diving into the cultural impact and the historical importance of these coins that pass unnoticed through millions of hands every day, yet contain within them a silent testimony to America's evolution from industrial revolution to digital age, from wartime economy to modern capitalism, every scratch, nick, and toning. Mark tells a story about where it has been, who might have spent it, what kind of life it has seen, and how its survival to the present day adds to its value both sentimental and financial. As we journey forward, we will look at the various mint marks that distinguish the place of origin for each penny. Whether struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, each mint had unique characteristics during the 1980s, and production volumes differed significantly, adding another layer to the collectability of each issue. We will also explore the grading system used to evaluate coins from good to mint state, and how small details in luster, strike, and wear can affect a coin's market value, sometimes exponentially. We'll look at real market sales data of 1983 pennies from online auctions and reputable dealers, examining how high-grade examples and rare varieties have performed over the years, providing both inspiration and cautionary tales for investors and hobbyists alike. We will also touch on counterfeit detection, as unfortunately the growing value of certain Lincoln cents, especially rare varieties, has attracted forgers and made authentication by grading services like PCGS or NGC all the more essential. Finally, we will connect the Lincoln penny to a larger legacy, reflecting not just Lincoln's contributions to American democracy, but also the ever-changing face of money itself, and how coinage acts as a mirror of our nation's identity, economy, and technological prowess. So stay with me as we unfold the full saga of the Lincoln cent, from its revolutionary birth through wartime adaptations, economic shifts, metal composition changes, design transformations, minting errors, collector discoveries, and market developments, all the way to today's buzzing interest around the legendary 1983 Lincoln penny, as we uncover the truth, value, history, and secrets that make these small copper and zinc discs more than just spare change. They are pieces of a living history book that you can hold in your hand and maybe even treasure for a lifetime, where subtle wear lines and toning can determine whether a coin lands in AU or MS condition, affecting value significantly. PCGS and NGC both use the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70, with MS 70 representing a perfect uncirculated coin. Collectors often send 1983 coins to these services to authenticate rare varieties, or to confirm if a coin is struck on the wrong planche. Most 1983 pennies weigh 2.5 grams and have a distinctive ring when dropped due to their zinc interior, but a copper planche coin would weigh 3.11 grams and sound more solid. Advanced testing methods, including specific gravity testing and XRF scanning, can non-destructively identify metal content, adding science to the world of numismatics beyond physical properties. The Lincoln cent represents a cornerstone of American culture. Children learn to count. Using pennies, history teachers use them to talk about Abraham Lincoln and money itself. Civic groups use them in fundraisers like penny drives, and parents pass them down in jars to spark a young person's interest in collecting. This coin is not only the longest-running design in U.S. coinage history, but also one of the most studied, with countless books, publications, and articles dedicated solely to Lincoln cents from 1909 to present. Its story is still being written, with new varieties and discoveries emerging every year, and with the future of the penny in question due to rising costs and debates in Congress about discontinuation. These coins may one day become relics of a bygone age, making them even more valuable to those who held onto them while others discarded them. Throughout this episode, we will break down how to tell if your 1983 penny is worth more than face value, how to identify the doubled die reverse, how to weigh your coins accurately, how to check for planche composition, how to look for die markers, and how to properly store and submit your coins for professional grading. We will also look at collector stories of people who found rare varieties in circulation, Coin roll hunters who discovered 1983 DDRs in boxes bought from the bank and investors who made tens of thousands off what looked like a simple zinc coin. We will examine the best tools for coin examination, including digital scales, magnifiers, microscopes, reference books, and online forums where enthusiasts discuss every nuance of the Lincoln cent with passion and precision. This 2-hour documentary is your ultimate guide, not just to the 1983 Lincoln penny, but to the heartbeat of American numismatics, where history, metal economics, and artistry intersect, and where the thrill of the hunt lives on in every coin you pick up. The coin has always displayed the familiar profile of President Lincoln, based on a photograph taken by Anthony Berger in 1864. While the reverse side of the penny has seen several design changes over the decades, beginning with the iconic wheat ears design from 1909 to 1958, followed by the Lincoln Memorial design that was introduced in 1959 and remained in place through 2008. Our focus today, the 1998 Lincoln penny, belongs to the Lincoln Memorial series, a series that was born in celebration of the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and features the Lincoln Memorial Building on the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint. At the time, the memorial design included remarkable details, such as the faint image of the seated Lincoln statue visible through the columns, symbolizing Lincoln's lasting presence. By 1998, the Lincoln penny had become an everyday piece of American life, but there are several fascinating aspects of that year's production worth diving into, beginning with the composition of the coin itself. In 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned from the traditional copper alloy cent to a copper-plated zinc cent in an effort to reduce production costs. So the 1998 penny is made primarily of zinc with a thin layer of copper, making it visually identical to earlier coins but distinct in composition. At the Philadelphia Mint in 1998, over 5 billion pennies were struck, while the Denver Mint contributed another 5 billion plus coins. This massive production reflects the incredible demand for pennies in circulation at the time, but despite these high mintage numbers, not all pennies are created. Equal collectors are particularly interested in coins with mint errors, high grades, and specific die varieties. Some notable errors found among 1998 Lincoln pennies include double dies, where parts of the design appear doubled on the coin. These can affect the obverse with doubling visible in the inscriptions or on Lincoln's profile, or they can affect the reverse with doubling on the Lincoln Memorial or lettering. Such errors are rare and command premium prices on the collector market. Another interesting feature of the 1998 penny is its role in the transitional phase of U.S. coin design, as the Mint prepared to introduce the 50-state quarters program in 1999 and began experimenting with new technology and design approaches. While the penny remained unchanged during this period, it serves as a time capsule representing the last years before major changes swept through American coinage. The economic context of 1998 also played a role in the penny's history. During this time, the U.S. economy was experiencing growth marked by the tech boom and rising consumer confidence. Yet the penny's value in commerce was increasingly questioned due to inflation. Many economists debated whether the cent should be retired altogether, as its purchasing power had declined dramatically since its creation in the early 20th century. From a collecting perspective, the 1998 penny offers multiple layers of interest, not only as a representative of the Lincoln Memorial design series, but also as a zinc-based cent, a type of coin that presents unique challenges for preservation. Zinc cents are known for developing bubbles or corrosion under the copper plating, especially if stored improperly, making high-grade examples particularly desirable among collectors. Grading the 1998 penny follows the standard Sheldon scale used by numismatists. Coins are evaluated from poor at the bottom to mint state at the top, with the highest uncirculated grades reserved for coins showing no wear. Under magnification, collectors also look for full red examples, meaning the original reddish copper color remains intact without turning brown, which is common as copper oxidizes over time. Proof versions of the 1998 penny were struck at the San Francisco Mint bearing the S Mint mark. These coins were made specifically for collectors using polished dies and special striking techniques to achieve sharp details and mirror-like fields. Proof pennies are packaged in sets and never intended for general circulation, making them a distinct category within the 1998 production. Turning to the cultural meaning of the Lincoln penny, the coin has long served as a symbol of American values, perseverance, honesty, and the enduring legacy of a president who guided the nation through its greatest crisis, the Civil War. Lincoln's image on the penny is more than just decoration. It is a reminder of the ideals he stood for and the sacrifices made to preserve the Union. In the realm of coin collecting, the penny often serves as the entry point for new collectors due to its accessibility and rich history. Many lifelong numismatists began their journey by sorting through jars of Lincoln cents, looking for wheatbacks or rare dates, and the 1998 penny continues to play a role in this tradition, offering young collectors a piece of history they can hold in their hands. If we zoom out to the larger timeline, the 1998 penny represents the tail end of a nearly 50-year design era, soon to be replaced in 2009 by the Lincoln Bicentennial Cents, which introduced 4 new reverse designs to celebrate Lincoln's 200th birthday, and then the Union Shield design, which has graced the penny's reverse since 2010. Thus, the 1998 cent stands as one of the last representatives of the classic memorial era. We can also explore the role of the U.S. Mint during this time, operating multiple facilities across the country, each with its own history and production focus. The Philadelphia Mint, where the majority of 1998 pennies were struck, is the oldest operating mint facility in the United States, while the Denver Mint, which produced the D-Mint mark pennies, has long served as a major coin production site. The San Francisco Mint, known primarily for proof coinage, carries on a tradition of craftsmanship and precision. Collectors interested in 1998 pennies should be aware of the variety of storage and display options available, from traditional coin albums and folders to protective holders and slabs used by third-party grading companies. Proper storage is crucial, particularly for zinc-based cents, which can suffer from environmental damage more readily than their earlier copper-based counterparts. The market value of a 1998 penny varies greatly depending on condition. Rarity and demand circulated examples carry only face value, but high-grade uncirculated coins, especially those graded MS67 or above, can command solid premiums. Errors and varieties can drive prices even higher, especially if they are rare or dramatic. Finally, the 1998 Lincoln penny is not just a coin, it is a small metal witness to the larger story of American history, economics, design, and cultural identity. Through its modest face value, it connects generations, reminding us of the past, even as we move forward in a digital age where physical currency is increasingly rare. So whether you are a seasoned numismatist or a curious newcomer, the 1998 Lincoln penny offers a fascinating journey through history, and collecting one that could easily fill hours of exploration, discussion, and discovery. Thank you for joining me today on this deep dive into the world of the 1998 Lincoln penny. Stay tuned for more incredible stories about rare coins, history, and the treasures waiting to be found right in your pocket. Artistic quality of American money commissioned sculptor Victor David Brenner to design a new penny that would honor the legacy of Lincoln, the first real person to appear on a regular issue U.S. coin. Victor David Brenner's design featured a right-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a portrait based on a photograph taken by Anthony Berger at Matthew Brady's studio in 1864. The reverse originally featured 2 ears of Durham wheat, hence the name wheat penny or wheat cent, symbolizing America's agricultural heritage and resilience. This design was used from 1909 through 1958 and established the identity of the Lincoln cent as a staple of American change and commerce. In 1959, to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 50th anniversary of the Lincoln cent, the reverse design was changed from the wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial, located in Washington, D.C. The Lincoln Memorial reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, added a powerful symbolic depth, not only preserving Lincoln's image on the obverse, but also placing him figuratively within the nation's seat of power, with his statue visible between the columns of the memorial. This design would remain in use until 2008, marking an incredible half-century of numismatic consistency and cultural reverence. Fast forward to 1999, the Lincoln Memorial reverse was still in use, and the penny remained the most common and widely circulated coin in the United States, but many changes had taken place in the intervening decades affecting the metal content minting. Widely circulated coin in the United States, but many changes had taken place in the intervening decades affecting the metal content minting process and cultural significance of the coin originally minted in 95% copper. The Lincoln cent underwent a major composition change in 1982 due to rising copper prices, shifting to a predominantly zinc composition with only a thin copper coating. The 1999 Lincoln penny, therefore, is struck on a planche made of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, making it distinctly different in both weight and appearance from its earlier predecessors. The year 1999 was significant not just for the United States economy, which was nearing the end of a decade-long economic expansion, but also for the mint itself, which was in the final year before embarking on the massive 50-state quarters program that would begin in 2000. Although not marked by a new design, the 1999 penny carried the culmination of decades of American monetary evolution and minting technology. It was produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, as evidenced by the presence or absence of a mint mark under the date, with P mint pennies bearing no mint mark, and D mint pennies showing the letter D. What makes the 1999 Lincoln penny particularly intriguing to collectors and historians is the sheer volume of coins produced and the subtle variations and errors that arose during production. More than 5 billion 1999 Lincoln cents were struck by the Philadelphia Mint alone, and over 6 billion by the Denver Mint. But among these billions exist examples with doubled dies off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planches, and other mint errors that have drawn the attention of numismatists around the world. Some of these errors, such as the 1999 wide AM coins, the 1999 wide AM is one of only 3 such varieties known, along with similar examples from 1998 and 2000, and has fetched significant premiums in the coin market depending on its condition. As we continue deeper into the story of the 1999 Lincoln penny, we begin to explore its place within the broader narrative of late 20th century American coinage, its role in daily life, its presence in the pockets of millions of Americans, and its often overlooked artistry and technical design. The sculpted features of Lincoln's face, the sharpness of the lettering, the precision of the minting, and the intricate details of the Lincoln Memorial all tell a story of craftsmanship and continuity in an era of rapid change. In examining the minting process behind the 1999 Lincoln cent, we also delve into the technological advancements that had taken place by the end of the century. The introduction of computer-assisted engraving, laser scanning, die production, and quality control measures had significantly improved the consistency and volume of coin production. Yet even with such advancements, the human element remained ever present, and mint errors continued to slip through, offering a unique glimpse into the imperfections that make collecting so fascinating. We will now shift our focus to collector interest and market value, highlighting how coins like the 1999 Lincoln penny, despite their common appearance, can become treasures to those who understand the nuances of variety, condition, and provenance in uncirculated condition, especially in mint state grades, such as MS-65, and higher. The 1999 penny holds moderate value. But when coupled with error varieties like the wide AM or double die obverse, the value can increase dramatically. For example, a 1999 wide AM in high grade can fetch hundreds of dollars and even more if certified by grading companies like PCGS or NGC. Let us also explore the role that Lincoln pennies play in American culture, from childhood piggy banks to penny jars at gas stations, from coin rolls searched by hobbyists to symbolic gestures of good luck. The Lincoln cent is more than just currency. It is an enduring symbol of American values, thrift, honesty, leadership, and national pride. Abraham Lincoln's image serves as a constant reminder of the nation's resilience through civil war, economic turmoil, and social change, and the penny itself has become a miniature ambassador of that spirit. The legacy of the Lincoln cent would continue into the 21st century with the 2009 bicentennial anniversary of Lincoln's birth, bringing 4 new reverse designs commemorating different stages of his life, followed by the shield cent design in 2010, yet the 1999 Lincoln penny stands at a critical transition point in this long legacy, capturing the final full year before the end of a design era and the beginning of a new millennium. As we draw closer to the end of this exploration, we reflect on the humble status of the penny, and how this most modest denomination carries with it stories that span more than 100 years. The 1999 Lincoln penny is a culmination of artistry, history, innovation, economy, and patriotism, and by studying its details, its varieties, its errors, its mint marks, and its composition, we gain not just knowledge of a coin but insight into the American story itself. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the 1999 Lincoln penny, and be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more detailed videos on the world of coins, rare varieties, errors, and fascinating numismatic history. Lincoln cent was the first regularly circulating U.S. coin to feature a real person on the obverse, which was a revolutionary concept at the time designed by Victor David Brenner. The original coin featured Lincoln on the front and 2 wheat ears. On the reverse, symbolizing the nation's agricultural roots, these wheat pennies were minted from 1909 to 1958 and became an instant favorite among collectors due to their symbolism, historical value, and overall artistic appeal. The initials VDB of the designer famously sparked early controversy when placed prominently on the bottom of the reverse of the 1909 version, resulting in the mint quickly pulling back production and reissuing the coin with the initials removed, making the 1909 SVDB one of the most sought-after coins in American coin collecting history. Over time, the reverse design changed in 1959 to feature the Lincoln Memorial in honor of Lincoln's 150th birthday. That design by Frank Gasparo remained until 2008, which means that the 2003 Lincoln penny falls right in the late stages of the memorial reverse era. The 2003 Lincoln penny may appear ordinary at first glance, but like many modern coins, there are varieties, errors, and mint, characteristics that can significantly increase a coin's value to collectors and investors alike. Minted in Philadelphia and Denver. The 2003 pennies can be identified by their respective mint marks, P for Philadelphia, although in this case the Philadelphia Mint did not include a mark, and D for Denver. During this time, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies each year, but even with such high mintage numbers, collectors are always on the lookout for special traits, such as off-center strikes, die breaks, doubled, dies, and other mint errors, which can transform an ordinary 1-cent coin into a rare collectible valued at hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Some 2003 pennies display doubling on the obverse, notably in areas such as Lincoln's eye, the date, or the lettering of Liberty, and In God We Trust, which when verified by professional grading services can fetch premium prices in the collector market beyond physical errors. Coins can carry added value due to their condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS or mint state 70 representing a flawless coin straight from the mint. If a 2003 Lincoln penny is preserved in a high grade such as MS 67 or MS 68, especially if it is certified by NGC or PCGS, it can be worth significantly more than face value because finding such coins in pristine condition is increasingly rare given their circulation and handling history. The metal composition of the 2003 Lincoln penny also reflects a change from previous eras. Earlier Lincoln cents from 1909 to 1982 were composed primarily of copper, but rising metal costs in the early 1980s prompted the U.S. Mint to shift to a zinc core with a thin copper coating starting mid-1982, making the modern penny lighter and more cost-effective but also less durable in the long term, as zinc is prone to corrosion, particularly when exposed to moisture over time. Despite this shift, the sentimental and historical value of the Lincoln penny endures and continues to captivate collectors young and old. The numismatic community pays close attention to even the most recent coins, and as coin grading technology and online marketplaces evolve, there is now more access than ever to coin price guides, error identification, and auction records, allowing hobbyists and professionals to evaluate and trade Lincoln cents with precision. And online marketplaces evolve, there is now more access than ever to coin price guides, error identification, and auction records, allowing hobbyists and professionals to evaluate and trade Lincoln cents with precision and confidence. Now let us go back to the origin and explore decade by decade how the Lincoln penny evolved both in design and in public perception. The 1910s through the 1930s were the golden era of the wheat penny, with coins struck during World War I and the Great Depression carrying both historical weight and scarcity due to limited mintages, especially during economic downturns. The 1943 steel penny made during World War II, when copper was diverted for the war effort, remains one of the most unusual and recognizable 1-cent coins, and collectors have been intrigued for decades by the extremely rare copper 1943 penny struck. In error, a coin that has sold for more than $1 million at auction. The 1950s marked the final decade of the wheat reverse, culminating in the 1959 debut of the memorial reverse, which ushered in a new era and greater awareness of Lincoln's legacy on American currency. The 1960s and 1970s saw massive increases in production as the U.S. population grew, and coinage demand exploded, leading to billions of pennies being produced annually. But among these high mintages are key varieties such as the 1969 S double die and the 1972 double die, both known for dramatic doubling on the obverse and fetching thousands of dollars in top grades. The 1980s introduced the copper to zinc transition as mentioned earlier, and the year 1982 alone saw 7 distinct varieties split between copper and zinc compositions, as well as large and small date font differences, which make 1982 one of the most complicated and fascinating years in Lincoln penny history. The 1990s and early 2000s, including our focus year 2003, were marked by steady production with occasional mint errors and the rise of third-party grading, making coin authentication and value determination more accessible to the public. 2003 in particular is a year where condition plays a key role in value, as billions were minted and only a fraction survive today in high mint state grades. Some unique finds, such as off-metal strikes or coins struck on foreign planchets, do exist from this period and have appeared in auctions and estate collections, yielding surprisingly high returns for their owners. 2003 also sits at the tail end of the Memorial Reverse series, which ended in 2008 and was followed in 2009 by the bicentennial Lincoln Cent program, which featured 4 different reverse designs marking different stages of Lincoln's life. The return of design innovation in 2009 rekindled interest in Lincoln pennies and brought renewed focus to earlier years, such as 2003, as collectors sought to build complete modern sets with a keen eye for quality and rarity. So if you are holding on to 2003 Lincoln cents or any other Lincoln pennies, it is worth learning how to examine them under magnification, how to spot common errors, how to interpret strike quality, and how to submit them to a grading service for potential certification. In addition to error varieties and mint state coins, the market also considers provenance, rarity, and overall demand. And since the Lincoln penny is one of the most collected coins in the world, there will always be demand for interesting specimens. Even in modern times, auction results for certified 2003 Lincoln cents In MS-68 red condition from the Denver Mint have exceeded $100, and error coins such as die clashes or multiple strikes from this year have appeared in private sales and online marketplaces. The story of the Lincoln penny is one of persistence, evolution, and national symbolism. It has witnessed over a century of American history, from world wars to civil rights, milestones, from political shifts to technological revolutions, and through it all, the penny remains a piece of pocket-sized history that continues to inspire collectors, historians, and citizens alike. And as we explore these topics throughout this video, we will examine real-life examples of 2003 Lincoln pennies that have made headlines, showcase professional tips on evaluating coin value, introduce online tools and resources for budding numismatists, and explore interviews and insights from some of the most respected experts in the coin collecting community. So sit back, relax, and join me on this deep dive into the world of Lincoln cents, where the smallest coin in your pocket might just hold a story and a value far greater than 1 cent.